Good evening tonight. I'm very happy to welcome a great artist. He's a great friend of mine on LinkedIn, and I want to thank him. He sends me his latest artworks every now and then in my inbox, and it's time to chat with him on our YouTube channel. I want to welcome Mr. Todd Borenstein. Borenstein or Borenstein, or both is correct.
Borenstein. Borenstein is fine, Sherif. Nice to meet you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Finally, we got out of our chatting and everything. I want to welcome you live. Welcome everybody who are getting to know your art if he is not familiar with. And first of all, I know that most of your art. I've seen also some of your books being sold online, as pin-ups, and portraits, of very beautiful ladies. Yes, and self-portrait sometimes. Yes.
Little shameless self-promotion.
So I want to ask you how, of course, anybody who got interested into art, I think it starts with childhood. Tell me, how did it start with you, and what was your first drawing when you were a child, a teenage,
Yeah, I can remember that like it was yesterday. My mom was an artist, and
Yes.
she painted.
Great.
And my dad was a musician. He played in big bands in the 40s and 50s, so I had art in me. So I began drawing, working in coloring books when I was, I don't remember how old I was, but 1, 2, 3. And it was always important to me to do a good job on coloring books, doing Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse coloring books and staying in the lines and getting the right colors. And then when I was in grade school, I think if you asked about my first drawing, I guess this would be my first professional drawing. When I was in grade school, there was a contest for Stop Smoking poster. Students can contribute artwork, and then whatever won would be reproduced and put all over the school. We're talking 3rd grade, 4th grade. So I did this drawing of a cowboy smoking a cigarette, and just stop smoking underneath it, and it won. And so I was hooked. So I got the accolades from that. I got the posters all over the school, and everybody in my classes in the school was patting me on the back. So I knew I was on my way to be an artist. Even though I copied the character from my big brother, who also drew, but I changed it a little bit and drew it myself, of course. But he drew this cowboy character, and I kind of copied that. Not copied, but used that as an inspiration. Anyway, so after that, I just was interested in drawing, and not so much painting at first. At first, it was just drawing, and anytime I could get my hands on some paper and a pencil, and for gifts, Christmas and presents for birthday, I would always ask for pens and ink and paper. And I remember I got a pen set, artist ink pens for Christmas one year, and I just locked myself in my bedroom and drew day and night. So it started when I was quite young, 4, 5, 6 years old, and just grew from there. Just always drawing when I was growing up. And then remember the first time I did a painting, I heard that painting on canvas was the thing that artists did. So I knew and I was, again, quite young, couldn't afford anything, a little kid. I knew that the back of a rug that we had in the house was canvas. It was a canvas back rug. So I painted on the back of this rug, thinking that I was this big artist painting on canvas. And of course, my mom didn't like that too much because it made a mess.
Hmm.
But
But
yeah,
it was good. You didn't paint on the walls or the lockers. You know, we
no,
have kids who do who do this
no.
all the time.
For some reason, I was real proper about my drawing as far as
Very good.
doing it on paper or canvas. And, I never drew on the walls.
Mhm. I have many friends in the visual arts sector. I co-organized two biennales, one in Alexandria in Egypt, and the other was for children arts in Sharjah in Emirates.
Mhm.
And I created some video art as well, parallel to some art events during the last 15 years. And when I met a lot of painters, sometimes I go to their studio and they show me some of their early work,
Mhm.
and they tell me, well, I cannot do this anymore, the beginnings, I cannot do, I have paintings from my childhood of my teens because, his style and also his direction into art, was, let's say it becomes more adult and more contextualized. He cannot go back in time. But I want to ask you, did you study art, and how did you focus on the genre of art you most know for later on?
Um, the only education that I've had formally for art was in regular classes in school, grade school, middle school. When I got to high school, you get to pick your classes, and I picked
Mhm,
all art classes, and
mhm,
so I shined in painting and drawing classes in high school. I did go on, and I do have a visual communications degree
mhm,
from a college, and there was drawing classes and painting classes. Vicom, yeah, visual communications. Um,
mhm,
but most of the stuff I learned on my own, trying things. I later on in life, I became really good friends with a professional artist from Madison, Wisconsin here,
mhm,
and became a really good friend of mine. His name is Steve Rude,
mhm,
and he is easily one of the top 5 comic book illustrators in the world right now.
mhm,
Look him up. He's done Batman, Superman, all of the Marvel. He's worked for Marvel and DC. Anyway, when I first met him, he was really not doing anything professionally, but all he did all day is draw and paint. So I got to look over his shoulder, and that was really valuable. And he taught me a lot
mhm,
about technique and what to do and what not to do. Of course, things what not to do. I quickly disregarded that and did it my own way anyway. But
mhm,
um, uh, he taught me a lot, and I showed him my stuff, and he told me what I could improve on just by looking over his shoulder. And then of course, he broke into comics, doing a comic book called Nexus, and he's done professional things for years and years and years now. And So that was my biggest education as far as what I do now. As far as my style and subject matter, I started out
mhm,
doing fashion illustration, pinup illustration, and I got started with that. My wife and I, we loved the work of Patrick Nagel. In the middle of the 80s, we started buying up all of these serigraphs from galleries by Patrick Nagel, and he was the flavor of the day. And we put them on our walls, and I looked at one, and I said, I could do that. I like the style, like the subject matter, so that's how I got into the pinup and the fashion and the female good girl art is what they call it. And at first I kind of copied his style, but then after a couple months, I started developing my own style for that subject matter. And I did tons of drawings and paintings in that style. They started selling at galleries. And then I attended a convention. I attended the San Diego Comic-Con because a publisher saw my work and put out a series of books on my art called Visions of Curves. And I was at a convention called GlamourCon, which is a half Playboy, half professional model convention. And I showed my huge oil paintings and at this convention, and somebody from Playboy came by and liked my work and hired me to do some things. And then out of that came prints and galleries, and started taking notice, and it just exploded from there. So that's where kind of where I am now.
This is great, and I've seen some of the Vision of Curves collection being still sold on the internet. How many books you have released?
Visions of Curves there were 4 editions of Visions of Curves, and they were published by a company called Fantagraphics out of Seattle, Washington. And they did 4 bi-monthly books. And then they moved on to other things and decided not to do a 5th one. And so there's 4 of those. But then about a year later, they contacted me again. And they said, how would you like to do something else? What do you want to do? And I said, how about I do a monthly book that's 24 pages instead of 48 pages. That way I could put out a monthly. And that book was called Eye Candy. And so there's 6 that went for 6 months. And so there's 6 editions of Eye Candy, 4 editions of Visions of Curves, 6 editions of Eye Candy. And I see them pop up. Lots of people just start selling them on eBay. I don't even have a copy of all the editions, and in fact, I had to go and buy a couple of them off of eBay.
Yes. Yes.
And then another publication or publishing company called Baron Publishing wanted to do number 5 of Eye Candy. So so there is a 5th one out there, but that one ran into some trouble. It was released and then had to be pulled for reasons I don't really want to go into. So some people have bought Visions of Curves number 4, number 5, and if anybody out there has that, it's a rare collectible.
Yes, but Todd, I want to ask you first of all, maybe I haven't seen all of your work, but mostly speaking, the women you draw is a little bit. I mean, the fashion style, makeup is something a little bit related, maybe 40s, 50s, 60s. This is correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yes.
I was very influenced by the classic illustrators of the 40s and 50s.
Yes.
Gil Elfgren and Vargas and Petty, and I could go on. I just
very reminiscent of films and photos. At sometimes you used to watercolor photography. at the time, and I've seen a lot of some stuff, photos. I mean, Jane Mansfield, Marilyn Monroe, these kind of the golden age celebrities and stars. So
Mhm.
when I see some of your art all of the time, it goes me back in time. With these kind of classic films.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
I love old black and white movies. I love movies from the 50s. That style, and I've got tons
Hmm.
of books, and I just love movies, and that's really influenced my art as far as the style goes. Um, I've and have always done oil paintings because that's what
Yes.
they used.
Uh-huh.
I really rarely did a watercolor. Could never really make that work.
Yes.
Um, Pastel is I couldn't stand how it felt in my hands, in my
Hmm.
fingers. Um, but oil painting was what I did exclusively, and I worked everywhere, anywhere from 18 by 24 to life size for my oils.
Hmm.
But I tell you what really changed my mind. I never thought anything would take me away from my oils. When digital illustration came out, I didn't jump right on it at first because I couldn't understand how that all worked. But then when the iPad Pro and Apple Pencil came out, when the
Hmm.
first rendition of or the first version of that came out, I bought it and tried it out, and I never looked back.
Hmm.
I do everything digitally now, and
Hmm.
now there's programs, and I have this thing, which
Hmm.
is a Wacom Cintiq, and there are programs that you can use with this thing that emulate oils and watercolors and acrylics, and it's amazing. Everything I've done for the past 8 years has
Hmm.
been digital, and I've done commissions, tons of commissions, and what I do is I do them high res, print them out high res on canvas
Hmm.
or watercolor paper or high resolution archival photo paper, and they look like originals.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, okay, now I spent thousands of dollars on oil paints and brushes, and put up with the mess and the smell and the cleanup, and or I could just
Hmm.
grab this thing
Yes.
and draw and paint on this,
Hmm.
and it gets rid of all of the
Mm.
mess and fuss, and
Yeah.
it's yeah. So that's
But
what I've been doing lately.
yes, I want to ask you. I mean, regarding comics, pin-ups, of course, the digital era have changed everything. But right now, do you think there are readers or collectors who are still seeking printed arts like yours right now?
Are there people that are
Yes, still purchasing arts. I mean, printed arts. I mean, in books, in magazines, or everything right now has become digital or online like
Oh,
this.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, I collectors are always going to go for printed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to buy books. They're going to buy these things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just because you can hold it in your hands and you can hang it on the walls. Um, I don't know anyone who would prefer to have it digitally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now there's these, what are they, NFTs things, and somebody asked me that I should start putting out NFTs, and I'd make a lot of money on these things. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, I don't understand what they are, and second, it's a digital piece of art. to me, that's not something that I would like to own. I would rather hang it on the wall or have it in a book. I mean, I don't. Yeah, the digital files. I don't understand why people want those things.
Yes, yes.
You know.
Yes, because right now even I see that comics, have become online. I don't know about sales right now, but I remember visiting some comic stores when I was once in New York and Los Angeles, and also even French and Belgium comics and mangas, from Japan, and are become right now. You can read them, on your tablet, or you can read them on your computer screen. But
Yeah.
I want to ask you, during the course of your artistic practice, uh, the portraits, pinups you draw, have you ever used, I mean, female models, or it was your pure imagination?
It's a little bit of both. Of course, when I do a commission, portrait commission, then I don't work from a live model. I work from a photograph because I like to work alone with no one around me. And if I tried doing life drawing and working from a model, but it's too nerve-wracking. I feel like I have to complete it in a certain amount of time. I like to have photos sitting right here and work from that. And as far as non-portrait commissions, just pieces that I do for my own amusement. Tell you what I do is I search the internet, and there's a couple places where you can find these fashion photos, fashion models from the 40s, from the 40s and 50s, fashion photography from the 40s and the 50s. They're so and better if they're black and white, because then I can do the color out of my head. But I'll find a classic pose, a pose that is striking and not boring, and I look for elements of excitement, of anxiety in the photograph, not just a static sitting there type pose. And then I'll use that and jump off of that. I'll use that for the pose, but then I will get rid of the photo and go in there and do my own eyes, hair, clothes. If there's other objects that props and things that are in the photo that I want in the illustration, that's when I bring those in. So basically, I just get inspired by old-fashioned photographs, and then jump from there. That's really what inspires me the most.
Todd, I want to ask you, do you have a next project or a dream project you want to share it with us?
Well, there's ongoing commissions. I'm getting commissions every day. I work with a couple agencies that contact me for commission work. I just completed, believe it or not, a children's book, a 24-page children's book. I'm just about ready to start another one that I was contacted about. Ongoing portrait commissions, and always ongoing with me is I want to archive everything that I do, and I found best way to do that, a lot of people keep sketchbooks. Like my friend Steve Rude, he's known for his sketchbooks. They've even been published in actual books. But what I do is every 6 months or so, every piece that I do, I put in a folder on my computer. And as soon as I have 100 of them, I publish them in a book. And this is the latest one right here. And there's 100, the last 100 pieces that I did, which usually takes about 6 months. So every 6 months I put out a book. So that's an ongoing project that I do. And, other than that, just commissions. And when people ask me to do things, there was and sometimes I'm just drawn to do things for people. A friend of mine just passed away, who was a famous drummer from Madison here. He passed away a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to do a portrait of him for his family. I just like doing stuff like that. So I'm always working. I'm always busy. I'm always drawing every day. I'm putting out something, and what excites me is putting them on social media. I never thought if it wasn't for my art, I wouldn't be on social media. I'm not really that kind of a, this is what I had for dinner last night kind of guy. But when I was 10, 15, little kid, if somebody would have told me that you can do a drawing, and as soon as you're done with it, you can let the whole world see it, I would have said, first of all, I don't believe you. Second of all, sign me up for that. So that's what's happening right now.
Correct.
I can do it. I can do out of my head. I can come up with a drawing, and finish it, and post it to Instagram and Facebook, and get immediate response. So that's really exciting to me. That's actually what's keeping me going. I don't know. Outside of the commissions, I don't know if I would be working every day like I do, but that's exciting to me.
Yes, this is great. The important thing is to continue to be creative, and I look forward for your upcoming publications, Todd.
Oh, thank you.
And and I want to thank you very much for this interview. I think it will be great for artists and also your fans to watch it and to hear you after they have been exposed to your work all along the years. And I want to thank you very much. Let's keep in touch.
Yes, Sherif, thank you so much for letting me do this. This is fun.
This is fun.
And I want to say hi to all of my friends out there in Instagram and Facebook world.
Yes, and LinkedIn as well. And Twitter.
My brother and my friends.
Yes.
Yeah, and since you mentioned my books, every time I do one, they're available on blurb.com.
Yes. Great. Thank you very much, Todd. Again, I wish you a very beautiful evening, and I look forward for all of your next illustrations.
Thank you, Sherif. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.